We're here to connect.
Shut the fuck up, Will Smith. I'm here to count down the worst movies of 2016, the most mediocre year ever. I wouldn't say this year overall sucked, because there was plenty of great movies out. You know, I'll make that video when I want to, alright? I still got a few more movies to see, like 20th Century Woman, Silence, Live by Night, the Ben Affleck movie, The Founder, Gold with Matthew McConaughey. I gotta see all those before I do my top 10 best. But for now, this is my top 10 worst of the year. But before we get into that, I'm just going to list my honorable mentions really quick. All right, number 20, I have Nina, the Nina Simone biopic. Number 19, I have Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, which was absolutely fucking horrible. 18, I have Now You See Me Too. 17, I have How to Be Single. 16, I have Man Down, which is one of the most offensive movies about post-traumatic stress disorder I've ever seen that happens to have one of Shia LaBeouf's best performances. I honestly recommend you guys to watch this of how fucking batshit it gets. It really gets fucking weird. 15, I have The Brothers Grimsby, Sacha Baron Cohen, Can't You Just Go to Hell Already? 14, I have The Do-Over, the Adam Sandler, David Spade comedy, whatever, and this movie, it would have been, higher up on the list. It wouldn't have been as low as it is right now if it didn't just throw in a really horrible cancer subplot. Because that's the one thing you have to throw in if Adam Sandler's playing an unlikable character. He can't just play an unlikable character. He has to have cancer, so you have to feel bad for him. Like, fuck off. All right, number 13, I have Mascots, another Netflix, straight-to-Netflix movie. But it's a Christopher Guest one. And he usually is supposed to not be as bad as Adam Sandler. This movie is fucking infuriating. At number 12, I have Gus Van Sant's The Sea of Trees. I don't remember a goddamn thing about this movie. Number 11, I have one of the most grisly, unappealing, just appalling, just distasteful movies I've seen all year, Carnage Park. And moving into my top 10. Your son don't need a gun to get respect up on the street. Now, this is one of the most critically praised movies of the entire year. Man, people sure do love those ovals. Fuck this movie, alright? Spoiler alert, alright? Spoiler alert. This movie is artsy for the sake of being artsy. I really like the director, Denis Villeneuve, the guy who did Prisoners, which I loved. I love that movie, and I thought Sicario was really good. But this movie was boring, and it was just so predictable, and it was just emotionally totally not resonant, and it just frustrated the fuck out of me that people loved it as much as it did. And I'm not one of those people to complain that it's not an action movie. I don't care that it is an action movie. Would some action help this movie? Fuck yeah, because nothing happened, alright? The whole movie is about Amy Adams, alright? The beginning of the movie starts with her having flashbacks about her daughter, right? Her daughter dies. Cut to her being a professor. She's a linguistics professor. She translates. And this alien invasion happens. And all over the world, all these ovals start falling into place, right? And then the government wants Amy Adams' help and Jeremy Renner's help. He's also a fellow scientist. And they go up into this oval. And they communicate with these tentacles every 5 minutes of the movie, and all they do is just they take their tentacles and they just make a jizz circle. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. And apparently, this is the big reveal in the entire movie. This language is so technologically far ahead. It's so complex, this language, that it makes you see the future if you understand it. She didn't have a daughter yet. She was seeing the future. She was seeing her future play out, and it turns out her future is shit because her daughter ends up dying of cancer. And the whole movie, she's trying to figure out, oh, who's my ex-husband? Oh, blah, blah, blah. And then they give it away halfway through the movie that it's Jeremy Renner because there's this flashback scene where she's having with her daughter, and her daughter's asking her some bullshit like, hey, what's another word for blah, blah, blah? And then Amy Adams is like, I don't know, you should ask your father. And then it cuts to present time where Amy Adams is talking to Jeremy Renner, and then Jeremy Renner says and then it cuts back to the flashback where Amy Adams says the word. Yes, he's the father. And she understands this language so much that she sees the future, and I so nothing cool happened in this movie at all. There really wasn't even a climax to this. It was just a bunch of people running around figuring out conspiracies. Michael Stuhlbarg was just being a dick like he usually is typecasted as. Forrest Whitaker has a really strange Boston accent in this movie, and Jeremy Renner has one of the funniest lines of the entire year. Hey, let's make a baby. Like, fuck out of here. I know people love the shit out of this movie, but whenever I read that somebody cried during this movie, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed my ass off when I heard that. Oh, and I forgot one thing. That's right, fuck ovals.
You're a bitch. Fucking bitch. Stupid.
Alright, number 9 is Ghostbusters. I already reviewed this movie. I trashed it enough when I reviewed it. All I have to say, again, is that it's really one of the laziest comedies of the year, and a big waste of talent. Great female cast. Almost everyone in this movie was terrible except Leslie Jones, and this was the funniest joke in the movie.
Things out there. I mean, wonderful things that are worth living for. I mean, you got soup, and you know that first that you know when oh God, I can only think of soup. Anybody? Somebody? Patty?
Salad.
Salad?
Yeah, I wanted to pull the plug on this movie too. Fuck yeah!
I promise you, it's there. The collateral beauty.
That never gets fucking old. It really doesn't. This movie... Holy shit. This movie's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's not Aloha level yet. Yes, I have a poster of it. Get at me. This movie is unintentionally hysterical. And yes, this movie was blatantly trying to be an Oscar bait movie. And not like a typical Will Smith Oscar bait movie where, you know, it's actually pretty good. Like The Pursuit of Happiness. And fuck me, right? 7 pounds. I'm the one guy that likes that movie. Yeah. I thought it was cool that he wanted to kill himself with a jellyfish. That's dope. This movie was ridiculous, alright? It stars, listen to this cast. Will Smith, Edward Norton, Kate Winslet, Helen Mirren, Michael Pena, Naomi Harris. I mean, are you jerking off due to all the names I'm listing right now? Like, Jesus Christ, that cast. And it follows Will Smith in a chronically depressed state, I should say, because his daughter dies of cancer, and he goes into work every day and just sets up all these dominoes and then pushes them all down and then leaves. And then comes in the next day and does the same exact shit. He's going through a fucking stupor in his brain. And his best friends, who are also his partners at the company, played by Michael Pena, Edward Norton, and Kate Winslet, hire a private investigator, played by Ann Dowd, to follow Will Smith around and videotape him talking to these 3 actors who are playing Love, Time, and Death, because he's writing letters to Love, Time, and Death, and of course he's not getting any response because there isn't anybody out there by the name of Love, Time, and Death. They don't fucking exist, Will Smith, you fucking retard. So anyway, she plans to film him while talking to these spirits, and then eventually edit those people out, so when Michael Pena, Edward Norton, and Kate Winslet show this video to their committee, their board, they could expose Will Smith for being the nutso that he's not. But he sorta is nuts. But he isn't? And she actually does all the editing. She edits everything out. These are the best friends I've ever seen in a movie. No, but seriously, this movie is ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. And, like, all the funny moments are in the trailer, but this movie still has plenty of hysterical, like, twists and turns. Because this movie, it tries to be so, like, revelatory with its twists. Because the whole movie, it's trying to tell us, oh, these actors are actors. They really are human. Because there's, like, 2 scenes of, like, you have Michael Pena and Kate Winslet paying Jacob Lattimore and Helen Mirren at the end, right? $20,000 in cash. And at the very end of the movie, Will Smith looks at the bridge, right? And he sees those 3 people looking at him for one last time, and Naomi Harris looks at the bridge too, and they're not there. So they weren't human. Okay, Collateral Beauty!
You betrayed me!
Here's another thing that's absolutely ridiculous about this movie. Naomi Harris, who I just mentioned, she plays his fucking wife in this movie, his ex-wife. And throughout this entire movie, she's trying to pretend that she doesn't know him because she also said that her and her ex-husband don't, like, if they were ever to meet again, they would pretend to be strangers and try to fall. Fuck this movie in the ass! Alright, number 7 is 50 Shades of Black, and moving on to number 6. Number 6 is going to be another controversial pick. It's The Witch, one of the most critically acclaimed horror movies of the year, and is another one I reviewed, guys. I don't really want to talk much about it because A, I don't really remember a whole lot about it, and B, I started forgetting it by the time I finished it because the theater hated it. No one liked the movie. I was never scared. And that's the biggest problem I think I had with it, was that it just was never, it never freaked me out, not once. And sometimes it was a little unintentionally hilarious, especially near the end, where just some goofy shit would happen and it would just try to be scary, but it just wasn't. It was just never scary to me. Freaky paranormal shit starts happening and there's really no explanation for it. And even if there wasn't supposed to be an explanation for it, I didn't really get the whole point of the movie, personally. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I don't get all the love for this movie. I just don't. Anya Taylor-Joy, on the other hand, oh my god, yes. Number 5 is that Kevin Spacey cat movie, 9 Lives. And Barry Sonnenfeld, he directed it. I know he's a shitty director. Alright, he did fucking Men in Black 3, okay? That's worse than Wild Wild West. That movie is horseshit. This movie, everyone knew this was gonna be horrible. And it's not the worst movie I've ever seen in the world, but of course I'm gonna put this in my top 5 of the year because it's fucking horseshit. It's just terrible. And that's the thing about this year with the worst movies. As we're getting lower and lower on the list, I just have few things to say about these movies because of how dumb they are and how dumb they made me feel. But the one thing I can say positive about it is that I guess I'm the only person to think that Kevin Spacey's character wasn't a complete piece of shit. Is that just me? Everyone else was a piece of shit to me. Number 4 is Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Personally, in my opinion, the worst R-rated comedy I've seen in years. Absolutely. It stars Zac Efron and this piece of shit.
Yeah, I'm getting recognized. Someone noticed me.
I can't fucking stand Adam Devine, like, at all. I really can't.
I like this place. I like comedy clubs. I don't like going to nightclubs. Want to know why? Why, Adam? Because chicks are always hitting on me.
And the movie followed these two morons playing brothers, because they obviously look like brothers, right? No, they don't. And they need to find these wedding dates to go to their sister's wedding, because they're usually fuck-ups at parties, and they fuck everything over. And Wendy Williams they just go on Wendy Williams' show, because anybody could just do that, right? Again, no. All these girls are seeing them, and they're like, "Oh my god, Zac Efron's so hot!" And oh, he has a brother. It's whatever. I like Zac Efron, and that's the whole joke for the first 15 minutes of this movie. Oh, look how ugly Adam Devine is. And initially, you should feel bad for Adam Devine's character. You really should. But you don't, because he's literally the biggest piece of shit in the world in this movie. He's such a piece of shit. It's not even funny. I know I've said that phrase all night, but I can't. Just 2016 in general was a piece of shit, and he's just the worst piece of shit there is. And Aubrey Plaza, I love Aubrey Plaza. You guys know that. What is going on with her this year? She was in this, and she was in also Dirty Grandpa with Zac Efron. And she's playing aggressively against type nowadays, playing this slut sort of character. And her character in this movie literally fingers Adam Devine's cousin for free Rihanna tickets. Yeah, this movie's the worst. Technically, it's not, because it's my number 4, but in a lot of ways, it is the worst.
I came down to the kitchen for number 3. And this is all I have to say about true memoirs of an international assassin.
Don't ever do that again. Do you hear me?
Just expressing myself.
No. No. Mm-mm. Not like that, you're not.
Number 2 was The Thinning. I know, original YouTube movie, right? It was a theatrical length movie, and it had to premiere somewhere. I'm counting it. It was a piece of shit movie. I'm not going to talk about The Thinning for a minute and a half, all right? Fuck Logan Paul. Let's just get this over with. Worst movie of the year, The Boy. Yeah, I saw this at the beginning of the year. One of the first movies I've seen. Absolutely stupid. Like I said about The Witch, times 100. It's a horror movie. It's not scary. It's unintentionally hilarious. The premise of the movie is absolutely ridiculous. You need a babysitter for a doll? And then at the very end of the movie, guess what? The son, the grown son, who's basically a lumberjack hipster, wearing a cardigan, is hiding in the walls. He's hiding in the walls, and he comes out every second to just move the doll to freak her out. Yeah, 2016 really was a really horrible year.